Darius pedaled his old bike down the cracked, uneven stretch of Pineview Road, the late afternoon sun melting into a gold haze behind him. His backpack bounced with every bump, the zipper hanging open by a thread, but he didn't care. The air smelled like cut grass and exhaust, and the wind tugged at his t-shirt as he coasted downhill. He'd just finished a long shift at the grocery store, 6 hours of bagging, stocking, and smiling through customers' bad moods, and his legs ached, but he was used to that kind of tired. He just wanted to get home, maybe grab a peanut butter sandwich, and crash before school tomorrow. As he neared the old industrial park, he noticed a car pulled off to the side of the road. It wasn't just any car. It was one of those glossy black Mercedes models he'd only ever seen in commercials. The sun glinted off the hood like polished stone. A tall man in a gray suit stood beside it, frowning down at a flat tire, phone pressed to his ear. His expression said he'd been waiting a while, and the way he kept checking his watch said he didn't have much patience left. Darius slowed down out of instinct. He coasted past, eyes flicking over the scene, flat tire, spare leaning nearby, tools scattered, but no real progress. The man was talking to someone on the phone, his tone sharp. "I told you, I'm stuck on Pineview, and the tow still isn't here." "Yes, it's been 30 minutes. No, I can't miss this meeting." He stopped mid-sentence and noticed Darius looking his way. For a moment, Darius hesitated. He wasn't sure if he should say anything. A man in a suit like that probably didn't need help from a kid with a busted-up bike. But then he saw the frustration in the man's eyes, and the useless jack lying at an awkward angle, and he couldn't help himself. He braked, turned around, and rode back toward the car. "Hey, sir," he said, pushing his bike onto the grass. "You got a spare tire?" The man blinked, lowering his phone. He seemed surprised anyone had stopped. Yes, I do. It's in the trunk. But I've been trying to change it for 20 minutes and, well, I'm not exactly handy." Darius smiled, wiping a streak of grease off his hand onto his jeans. "I can do it for you. Won't take long." The man hesitated again, glancing down at Darius's scuffed sneakers and faded shirt. Then something softened in his expression. "You know how?" "Yeah," Darius said simply. "My uncle showed me. I fix my mom's old car all the time." "Then please," the man said, stepping aside, "be my guest." Darius crouched beside the tire, sizing it up. The air was hot and still, and the road shimmered like glass. He found the jack handle, slid it under the car's frame, and began turning with quick, confident motions. The man watched, his phone now forgotten in his hand. "You're really good at that," he said after a minute. Darius shrugged. "Just practice. Sometimes we couldn't afford a mechanic, so I had to learn." The man nodded, something thoughtful flickering in his eyes. Smart kid. They worked in companionable silence for a while, Darius doing most of the actual work, the man occasionally handing him a tool or holding the lug nuts. After a few minutes, the new tire was in place, the bolts tightened, and the car was good to go. Darius stood up, brushing the dirt off his palms, a streak of black grease marking his cheek. "There," he said, "you're all set." The man tested the wheel, then broke into a grin. "That's impressive. You saved me a lot of trouble, son." He reached into his jacket and pulled out his wallet. "Let me pay you something for your time." Darius immediately shook his head. "No, sir, it's fine. Just glad to help." The man frowned slightly, as if not used to people refusing money. "You sure?" "Yeah," Darius said with an easy smile. "I just don't like seeing folks stuck. I know what that feels like." The man's smile deepened. Not polite this time, but genuine. "Well, thank you, Darius," he said after learning his name. "You've done more than you know." They shook hands, and Darius felt the man's firm grip, the kind that said he meant it. Then, as the car door shut and the Mercedes purred back to life, Darius climbed back on his bike. He pedaled away, feeling lighter somehow, though he couldn't explain why. Maybe it was the man's grateful look, or maybe it was just the satisfaction of fixing something with his own hands. But as he rode off into the fading sun, Darius didn't realize that the moment he stopped to help a stranger with a flat tire was the moment his entire future quietly shifted direction. It had been a week since Darius helped the man with the flat tire, and by now, the memory had already faded into the background of his busy routine. Between school, work at the grocery store, and looking after his younger sister while their mom worked late shifts at the hospital, he barely had time to think about anything else. It wasn't like he expected anything to come from it anyway. He just stopped to help someone, same as he would for anyone else. That evening, their small apartment was filled with the faint smell of spaghetti sauce and laundry detergent. The TV was playing quietly in the corner, some old sitcom rerun that nobody was really watching. Darius sat at the kitchen table, hunched over his algebra homework, tapping his pencil against the page. His mom, still in her scrubs, was dozing on the couch, one arm draped over a pile of mail she hadn't opened yet. The doorbell rang suddenly, cutting through the quiet. "Darius, can you get that?" she murmured without opening her eyes. He sighed, pushed back his chair, and went to the door. When he opened it, he froze. Standing in the dim hallway was the same man from the side of the road, the one with the Mercedes. Only this time, he wasn't wearing a rumpled suit. He looked put together, relaxed even, carrying a sleek leather briefcase and an envelope in one hand. "Good evening," the man said, smiling warmly. "You must be Darius. I hope this isn't a bad time." Darius blinked in confusion. No, sir. You're the guy with the car." The man chuckled. "That's me. Name's Mr. Caldwell. I didn't get to thank you properly the other day, so I thought I'd come by." Darius's mom, now fully awake, sat up quickly. "Who is it, Darius?" He turned. "It's, someone I helped last week." His tire went flat. When Mrs. Williams came to the door, she was instantly on alert, her polite smile masking the suspicion that came from years of struggling to protect her family. "Good evening," she said carefully. Mr. Caldwell nodded respectfully. "Good evening, ma'am. I'm sorry to intrude. I just wanted to speak with you both for a moment." She hesitated, then opened the door wider. "Come in, please." He stepped inside, looking around the small living room, the worn couch, the peeling paint, the faint hum of the old refrigerator. But he didn't stare or comment. Instead, he smiled as if he saw something completely different, something good. "I wanted to thank your son properly," he said, setting the briefcase down. "What he did for me, it wasn't just changing a tire. It was the way he did it, calm, capable, and without asking for anything in return. You should be proud." Mrs. Williams's expression softened a little. "I am," she said quietly. "He's a good kid." Mr. Caldwell reached into his briefcase and pulled out a crisp envelope, placing it gently on the table. "Inside is something I hope will help him continue being exactly that kind of person." Darius frowned, confused. "What is it?" "An opportunity," Caldwell said simply. "I'm the CEO of a company called Caldwell Technologies. We run a mentorship program for promising young students, hands-on experience in tech, leadership, and innovation. I'd like to offer you a spot, Darius. All expenses covered. You'll learn directly from my team and, when you're ready, have a guaranteed scholarship to any partner university." The words hit Darius like a slow, rolling wave. He opened the envelope and saw a sleek welcome letter with his name printed at the top, followed by the company's logo and a note, "Full mentorship and scholarship award granted to Darius Williams." He looked up, speechless. "You're serious?" Mr. Caldwell smiled. "Absolutely. I've been doing this a long time, son. I can tell when someone has drive and integrity. You could have taken the money I offered, but you didn't. You just wanted to help. That told me everything I needed to know." Darius's mom's eyes filled with tears. She tried to blink away. "Mr. Caldwell, I don't even know what to say. We've been trying to figure out how to afford college for him, and..." He held up a hand. "Say nothing, ma'am. He earned this. I'm just giving him a door. He's the one who'll walk through it." For a long moment, no one spoke. The hum of the refrigerator was the only sound. Then Darius extended his hand, his voice steady but full of emotion. "Thank you, sir. I won't waste it." Caldwell shook his hand firmly. "I know you won't. You remind me of myself at your age, except you're already doing more good than I did back then." He gathered his things, nodding to Mrs. Williams one last time before leaving. The door closed softly behind him, leaving a hush in the apartment that felt unreal. Darius stared at the letter in his hands, the edges trembling slightly. His mom came up beside him, resting a hand on his shoulder. "You see," she said softly, "good things come back around, baby. You just have to keep doing right." He nodded slowly, still absorbing it all. The boy who'd stopped to fix a stranger's tire was now standing at the edge of a new life, one he hadn't even known was possible. The ballroom lights shimmered like a constellation above Darius's head. Cameras flashed, laughter echoed, and the murmur of expensive suits and evening gowns filled the air. He stood on stage, gripping the sleek glass award in his hand, Innovator of the Year. His reflection gleamed faintly in its surface, and for a moment, he could barely believe it was real. Just a few years ago, he'd been a tired teenager on a rusty bike, trying to make it home before dark. Now he was standing in front of hundreds of people, entrepreneurs, investors, leaders, all applauding him. The path from that broken-down road to this shining stage had been anything but easy, but every long night, every failure, and every moment of doubt had led here. He took a breath, stepped up to the microphone, and smiled. "When I was 16, he began, his voice steady but soft, I stopped to help a man with a flat tire. I didn't know who he was, and I didn't expect anything from it. I just saw someone stuck, and I figured I could help." A gentle ripple of laughter went through the audience. "Turns out, that man was Mr. Caldwell, and he changed my life." The crowd erupted in warm applause. Darius looked down toward the front row, where Mr. Caldwell sat, older now but still sharp-eyed, smiling proudly. The same man who once stood helpless by a Mercedes was now watching the boy who had stopped to help him command an entire room. After the ceremony, as the guests began to mingle, Darius slipped away to the balcony for a moment of quiet. The city stretched beneath him, a glittering network of lights, streets, and dreams. He could still smell the faint tang of motor oil when he thought about that first day, the sound of the wrench clicking against the bolts, the warm satisfaction of doing something good for no reason other than it felt right. "Mind if I join you?" came a familiar voice behind him. Darius turned, grinning. "Of course not, Mr. Caldwell." Caldwell stepped out, carrying 2 glasses of sparkling water. "They're calling you the youngest tech CEO in the city," he said, handing one to Darius. "You've done well for yourself." Darius chuckled, "Only because someone believed in me before anyone else did." Caldwell leaned on the railing, gazing out over the city. "You earned every bit of it. All I did was open a door." He turned to Darius, his expression serious but kind. "You know, I've met hundreds of young professionals, smart, ambitious, hungry for success. But what made you different was that you cared before you gained anything. That's rare. Don't ever lose that." The words hit Darius deeply. He nodded, staring at the skyline. "I don't think I could, even if I tried. Every time I drive past that stretch of Pineview Road, I remember how it started. The sun setting, the dirt on my hands, and how small I felt. It reminds me that I didn't get here alone." Caldwell smiled faintly. "That's exactly why you'll go even further." They stood there in silence for a moment, watching the city move. The air was cool, the kind that hummed with possibility. Darius thought about his mom, who was sitting somewhere in the crowd inside, beaming through tears as she watched him accept the award. He thought about his little sister, now in college thanks to the same scholarship fund Caldwell had extended years ago. And he thought about the kids who looked like him, kids with talent and drive but no clear path, and how he was now in a position to give them one. "I'm starting something new," Darius said suddenly, breaking the quiet. "A mentorship foundation, for students from neighborhoods like mine. I want them to have the same chance you gave me." Caldwell's eyebrows lifted in surprise, then softened into pride. "That's exactly what I hoped you'd say one day. It feels right," Darius continued, smiling. "Like it's come full circle." Caldwell extended his hand, and Darius shook it, the same handshake they'd shared all those years ago, when grease still streaked his fingers. This time, though, it felt different, not one of gratitude and chance, but of equality and legacy. As they headed back inside, the host announced another round of applause for Darius. The crowd turned toward him, faces bright with admiration. Flashbulbs sparked like tiny stars. He raised his glass slightly in thanks, but his gaze drifted upward, beyond the chandeliers, beyond the applause, to the idea of what came next. Somewhere, maybe right then, Another kid was riding a bike home from work, tired and unnoticed, ready to make a small, quiet choice that would change everything. And Darius smiled, thinking how funny life could be, how one act of kindness, one moment of stopping to help, could ripple so far that it reshaped the future itself.